Derek and Maria Broaddus bought their dream home in West Jersey in 2014. Shortly after moving in, they began receiving anonymous letters from someone calling themselves the Watcher. The letters claimed the sender's family had been watching the house for decades, and that it was now their time to watch over the Broaddus family and their children. The letters grew increasingly personal and disturbing, mentioning the children by name and expressing ominous intentions for the house. Despite extensive police investigations and even hiring private investigators, the identity of the Watcher remains unknown to this day, and the Broaddus family never moved into the house, eventually selling it at a loss. The Dyatlov Pass Incident, 1959, Ural Mountains, Russia. In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out into the snowy Ural Mountains. They never returned. Weeks later, search teams found their campsite in a disturbing state. The tent had been slashed open from the inside, and the hikers had fled into the freezing night without proper clothing or shoes. Their bodies were discovered scattered across the snow, some miles from the camp. Investigators noted strange details, unexplained injuries, traces of radiation, and signs of extreme panic. No official explanation has ever fully answered what happened that night. Some blame an avalanche, others suspect military experiments, and some whisper about something not entirely human. Over 60 years later, Dyatlov Pass remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in modern history. It was supposed to be her dream home, a quiet farmhouse in Hinsdale, New York, but for the Dandy family came a living nightmare. At first, it was just small things, lights flickering, whispers in empty rooms, that unsettling feeling of being watched. And the phone calls began. Every night, the same chilling silence, just heavy breathing on the other end. When the number was traced, it came from inside their own house. Desperate, the family called in investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. They claimed the land was cursed, used for rituals and executions long ago. One night, the Dandies saw them, dark shadowy figures in the woods. Chanting carried through the trees, though no one was there. By the mid-70s, the family fled in terror, leaving everything behind. The house still stands today, and the phone, it still rings. But no one is on the line. In 1974, a family was more dead inside their Long Island home. New owners moved in. They only lasted 28 days before fleeing in terror. They claimed the house was alive, doors slammed, swarms of flies appeared in winter, and glowing red eyes watched from windows. The Amityville horror remains one of the most disturbing, real-life hauntings in history. The Legend of the Elizabeth Monster, 1969 to 1974, Elizabeth, New Jersey. The city experienced a wave of fear and fascination. Descriptions varied, but it was often depicted as a tall, hairy, foul-smelling beast, due to numerous reported sightings of a creature dubbed the Elizabeth Monster, sometimes with glowing eyes. While some dismissed the reports as hoaxes, misidentification, many sightings occurred near the Elizabeth River and surrounding marshlands. The sheer number of accounts and the genuine fear expressed by witnesses gave the legend staying power. Police investigated some reports, but no definitive evidence of the creature was ever found. The sightings eventually subsided, but the legend of the Elizabeth Monster remains a spooky local lore. The Devil's Tree of Colonia, since 1978 till present, stands a solitary, oddly shaped tree known as the Devil's Tree. Local folklore has surrounded this tree for decades, with tales suggesting it's a site of dark energy and supernatural occurrences. Stories range from claims that the ground around the tree never accumulates snow, to whispers that the Ku Klux Klan used a tree for lynchings, and the spirits of the victims haunt the area. Some even claim that if you cut down the tree, bad luck or even death will befall you, with axes breaking and chainsaws malfunctioning. Despite its ominous reputation, the tree still stands, silent, twisted landmark that continues to fuel local nightmares. The Axemen of New Orleans, 1918 to 1919, New Orleans, USA. In the early 20th century, New Orleans was plagued by a serial killer, known only as the Axemen. This unknown assailant broke in homes at night by removing wooden door panels, then attacked residents using their own axes. He did not rob his victims, and his choice of targets seemed random. The city lived in fear until the killer sent a letter to local newspapers claiming he would strike again, but would spare anyone whose home was playing jazz music. On that night, jazz filled the streets, no airs occurred. The Axeman was never caught, and his true identity remains one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries.
Every night at 3:33 a.m. my phone rings. It's my voice on the other end whispering, "Don't let me in." Last night I didn't answer. I thought I was safe. But tonight there's a knock at the door. I freeze, heart racing because I know. I'm standing outside staring at my own reflection. What do? Do I let myself in? Or do I run? Lost alone. The towering trees seemed to close in around little Tommy as he wandered deeper into the forest. Just moments ago he'd been picking berries with his parents, but one colorful butterfly caught his eye, and before he knew it, everything familiar had vanished. "Mom? Dad?" His small voice echoed through the woods, but only the rustling leaves answered back. The afternoon sun cast strange shadows between the branches, making ordinary shapes look menacing and unfamiliar. Omni's heart raced as he turned in circles, trying to spot any sign of the path they'd taken. Each tree looked exactly like the next, and the forest seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. His little legs were getting tired, and the weight of being alone started to sink in. Tears welled up in his eyes, rolling down his cheeks as fear took hold. The forest that had seemed so magical just an hour ago now felt like a maze with no exit. He sat down on a fallen log, his shoulders shaking with quiet sobs.